The Miracle on 34th Street lights in Hamden are a festive symbol for many, showcasing traditional Christian and Jewish holidays. But tensions are rising after an apparent act of vandalism against two of the homes based on their religion and showing support for Israel on the same day as a pro-Palestine protest on the same street.
I had a man go, call me a dirty Jew multiple times, and it wasn't anything to do with the protest, and this is completely unrelated, but that's what our life is now. That's what we're living.
And tonight, two families are on edge after what they're calling an act of anti-Semitism. Fox 45 News spoke to two homeowners and elected leaders about what they're calling a targeted attack. Over in Hamden, cars lining up to see the holiday lights.
They parked right in front of my house, right here in the street.
But for two families Saturday night, it wasn't a miracle on 34th Street, but a nightmare before Christmas.
It was a free Palestine rally.
And a very clear message by the pro-Palestinian crowd, according to Joshua Lamont.
I noticed that there was smashed watermelon at my street.
Known as a symbol of Palestinian solidarity, the symbolism leaving Lamont speechless.
Sorry, I apologize.
The anti-Semitic rhetoric literally hitting close to home.
It's just hard, right? Like, I've lived here always. Right after I've cleaned up my watermelon, or after they stopped in front of my house and yelled at me, I went to 7-Eleven and I got called a dirty Jew.
A few houses down.
It was a little bit intense to come home to after the end of a nice weekend.
Rabbi Mush Motzkowitz returned home to find out his house had also been vandalized by a watermelon.
I think vandalizing an individual's front yard because of a flag that they hang in their window doesn't accomplish anything other than make me feel less safe.
Those safety concerns, a common occurrence for Rabbi Motzkowitz and his family.
Probably 2-3 times a week, there's some chanting in front of our home.
Councilman Schleifer.
This is the consequence when leaders in the city fail to condemn anti-Semitism and condemn terrorist attacks against Jewish people.
Doubling down on his calls for city leaders to condemn hate.
What you end up seeing is that in those very same districts, in those neighborhoods where the leaders fail to condemn anti-Semitism, their constituents are victims of hate crimes and of open anti-Semitism.
So sorry this is happening in our world today.
Earlier this month, Schleifer proposed a resolution condemning anti-Semitism.
This is the Babayas family, Sherry and Yardane.
But it failed to pass City Hall. For Lamont and Moskowitz, they say failure to pass it has brought hate right to their front door.
This the spot that you decide to camp down and say the things you said and yell the things you yelled and look at us and glare the way you glared? It can't not be intentional.
Trashing my front yard because I have an Israel flag in my window just feels a little bit more like intimidation and a little bit less like free speech.
And Mayor Brandon Scott addressed the incident on social media this evening, calling it, quote, very troubling news. He says anti-Semitism in any form must be denounced, and he's calling for a thorough investigation to hold those responsible accountable. The ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas is casting a shadow of suffering on this year's holiday season. The town of Bethlehem is a sacred place in Christianity and Judaism and Islam, but was silent this year. Religious leaders are refining their message to show support for those affected by the war.
Let us be near our brothers and sisters who are suffering because of war. Let's think of Palestine, Israel, Ukraine.
As Israel expands its military operations, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says at least 10 Israeli soldiers were killed this weekend. President Biden says he met with Netanyahu this weekend, but didn't share many details of those talks. The president says he did not call for a ceasefire.
I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you for watching. Here's another video for you to watch. Also take some time to subscribe to our YouTube channel.